Hi, welcome to my channel. Now we uncover the untold story of the Cold War, the silent global battle that changed history forever. The Cold War was one of the most defining periods in modern history, a conflict that never turned into full-scale war, but shaped politics, technology, and the global order for nearly half a century. It was a time of tension, fear, and innovation, a struggle between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, the beginning of the divide. When World War II ended in 1945, the world was in ruins. Europe lay in devastation, and millions were dead. The Allied forces, mainly the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union, had defeated Nazi Germany. But soon after victory, cracks began to appear among the Allies. The U.S. and its Western allies believed in democracy and capitalism, where individuals had freedom and private ownership. The Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, promoted communism, where the government controlled production and everyone was supposed to be equal. These differences created deep mistrust. Both sides believed the other wanted to dominate the world. What followed wasn't a war of bombs and bullets, but of ideology, propaganda, and influence. The Iron Curtain, the division of Europe. As Europe recovered, the continent became divided. Winston Churchill famously said in 1946, "An iron curtain has descended across the continent." Western Europe aligned with the United States, forming democratic governments and joining organizations like strong NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, in 1949. Eastern Europe fell under the control of the Soviet Union, creating communist states like East Germany, Poland, and Hungary. Germany itself was split. West Germany became democratic, and East Germany became communist. The capital, Berlin, was divided too, and soon it became the symbol of this new global conflict. The arms race, fear of nuclear war. One of the most terrifying aspects of the Cold War was the nuclear arms race. In 1945, the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Japan, ending World War II. 4 years later, the Soviet Union tested its own atomic bomb. Both sides began to build thousands of nuclear weapons, enough to destroy the world several times over. This led to the idea of mutually assured destruction, MAD. If one side launched nuclear weapons, the other would retaliate, ensuring total annihilation. This fear kept the world in constant tension. People built bomb shelters, schools held nuclear drills, and nations lived in fear that one wrong move could trigger World War III. The space race, competing beyond Earth. Despite the fear, the Cold War also led to incredible technological achievements. The U.S. and the Soviet Union competed not only on Earth, but in space. In 1957, the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. It orbited the Earth and marked the beginning of the space race. 2 years later, the Soviets sent Yuri Gagarin, the first human, into space in 1961. The United States responded by increasing investment in science and technology. In 1969, they achieved the ultimate victory. NASA's Apollo 11 mission landed astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon. Armstrong's words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," became a symbol of triumph in this silent war. The Berlin Wall, a city divided. Berlin became the heart of the Cold War. In 1961, the East German government built the Berlin Wall, a massive barrier separating East and West Berlin. Families were divided overnight, and anyone who tried to cross risked being shot. The wall became the ultimate symbol of oppression and division, the physical proof of the Iron Curtain. For nearly 30 years, it stood as a reminder of the Cold War's human cost. Cuban Missile Crisis, the world on the brink. In 1962, the world came closest to nuclear war. The Soviet Union secretly placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from U.S. shores. When American spy planes discovered them, President John F. Kennedy demanded their removal and ordered a naval blockade. For 13 tense days, the world held its breath. Finally, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev agreed to withdraw the missiles in exchange for a U.S. promise not to invade Cuba and to secretly remove American missiles from Turkey. The crisis ended peacefully, but it showed how fragile peace could be. Proxy wars, fighting without fighting directly. While the U.S. and the USSR never fought each other directly, they supported opposing sides in smaller wars around the world, known as proxy wars. In Korea, 1950 to 1953, the Communist North fought the Democratic South. In Vietnam, 1955 to 1975, the U.S. fought to stop the spread of communism, leading to one of the most controversial wars in history. These conflicts caused millions of deaths and deep global divisions. The fall of the Soviet Union, the end of an era. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union was struggling. Its economy was weak, and its people were tired of strict control. In 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev became the Soviet leader and introduced reforms, glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, to modernize the country. But instead of strengthening the USSR, these reforms inspired protests and independence movements across Eastern Europe. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, and soon after, communist governments across Europe collapsed. Finally, in 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved. The Cold War was over. The world had changed forever. Legacy of the Cold War. The Cold War shaped nearly every part of the modern world. It gave birth to nuclear deterrence, space exploration, computer technology, and global alliances. But it also left behind scars, mistrust, proxy wars, and political rivalries that still exist today. Even after its end, the echoes of the Cold War remain. The rivalry between superpowers has transformed but not disappeared. In many ways, the silent battle that began in 1945 still influences our politics, our technology, and our fears. Conclusion. The Cold War was more than just a conflict. It was a battle for the soul of the world. It proved that wars don't always need weapons. Sometimes they are fought with ideas, technology, and belief. And while it ended without nuclear fire, it forever changed how humanity views peace, power, and survival. Finally, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this World History Facts Hub channel.